What's going down, everyone? And looks like the encoder's already not. No? Really? Is it? No? Okay, cool. Cool. Yeah. Sorry, I don't know how that intro is gonna look, but that's the point of streaming on my Radeon 7, as in me trying to test it from time to time in the stress test, which it hits its cap out at 2K at a balance. You can't do quality 4K like you can on a actual physical Nvidia, and that's what you are here for. The brand new update. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I know I am very late for my techies and techettes that do stay into the MacGyver 7th channel, and welcome back. How was your holidays? Leave a comment down below. I'm very interested to see and hear from everyone as we download this half gigabyte situation, and we're about to hit play into the situation of patch notes, which is pretty cool. There's a lot of talk and when they're coming into game point of what they're talking about. Now, G.SKILL supporting the technology for AMD. Is now the industry loving what AMD is doing? Perhaps. But as we hit yes here, let's hit yes to the news. And as we get into gameplay, we're going to go ahead and sink our teeth directly into Shazam! The new features. As we look inside of a situation and we head into what the fixes are and the new features, there's a lot of stuff for Red Dead, among other things, that you're going to be wanting to hear for as far as the news going inside of. Now, the Game Ready driver came out roughly about 4 to 3 days ago, so everyone should roughly have this installed. And again, normally I'm pretty on the cutting edge of doing it the day of or the day after. So, also the optimal support for Quake 2, the RTX, version 1.2 update, which provides existing quality enhancements for the ray tracing textures. So, on top of the situation of Halo Reach already being on the list, as most people go into the optimal points of having the performance and the bugs for that situation of two games, you also have the image sharpening support for Vulcans and the OpenGL. With the last month, the introduction of the new Nvidia control panel imaging sharpening feature has enabled GeForce gamers to improve the clarity of the sharpness, which you can get into the control panel, which they tell you right down below. We'll go into the guide, but the DirectX title now can easily upscale into the sharpening points, so you can push yesterday's GPU just a little bit farther to have the clarity point of having the pristine look, but not necessarily the pristine stream machine that would be needed to run some of today's technology. As we look into the day's holiday and we go past what our 3D management and the image sharpening that you can recognize into, let's look at the game ready fixes that the full list comes down to. The SLI, Red Dead Redemption, and the Vulcan and the benchmarks may crash when the Vulcan mode is in SLI enabled. Utilizing the ultra graphics setting, you will see the Red Dead Redemption also make the list for the stalling occurrence on some of the 4 cores as well as the 6 core CPUs. All the listed codes are down below, as well as the description into Boo. Shadow of the Tomb Raider, which is very sad to hear that makes the list on the DirectX considering how old it is on there, also may have some actual occurrences, but this could be something new that they're trying to fix with something else that teeter-tottered an old game onto it. The balance they play as they have tech engineers on ice. But looking at that situation, looks like our new install is ready to go. I'm going to go ahead and hit a fresh reset. I like trying to do those on some stuff. So we'll let that do as we continue down the Red Dead Redemption trail. Not, but Forza! As we look inside of this, stream bandwidth may occur in the extended gameplay. Important open issues. As the Sniper Elite 4 makes the list, with Tomb Raider among that, the frame rate is not capable of displaying the fresh rates in the VSync enabled for the DirectX 12 mode. Forza Motorsport 7 makes the list with the game starts to shudder after racing a few laps. Not the most desirable thing if you want to put in some miles. As you look inside the game frequency crashes that Grand Theft Auto 5 is experiencing across the board, Nvidia is working with the application developers to resolve this issue, which seems to be AMD is also doing that exact same thing. Very interesting. So, with these situations going down, you can download these down below, which are the more current drivers. I also have this, which is the current driver list, all ready to go as we kind of look inside of here. And, you know, there are a lot of fun things you can come down to with this listing of awesomeness. Now, as I come into rebooting the computer, and we're going to go into the next portion of the testing, and I think what a lot of people like to tune into for is the benchmarks. And we'll compare yesterday's versus today's as their fresh install goes into. So if you'll excuse me, let me just go ahead and click it over real fast as it clicks into HDR. But hopefully everyone's doing really well this holiday. I had an amazing one, ate too much, had too much turkey. But I also did a really great challenge too, which I'm excited to do. I did the MOAB bar, which is like the mother of all bars. It's just like this chocolate bar, a pound of it, of like extremely hot peppers. It's hilarious. I did it with another great creator. You guys and gals should stay tuned for that. That's actually going to be pretty fun for as far as we getting into the holiday treats of my channel. But let's go ahead and dive right into where we're going into the gameplay. So besides me having Nord and me already being worried about them in a lot of ways, let's go ahead and pop open to where Steam is going to be. And that's where I usually reference all my 3D marks that comes inside of here. I'm excited to get like new technology for the M7 Elite that have been following me along these things. We're going to be seeing some new processors come across the new benchmarks very soon, which I'm super excited to see what we can do with them. We're going to be doing a lot of cool stuff with them, maybe perhaps with liquid metal and some of them. I don't know. We'll have to stay tuned to find out. I don't know. That plan is like a luster in my eye. But let's go ahead and close down the bloatware in the background real fast. It's just us, you know, just us in the app. Yeah, let's go ahead and close that. Steam needs to be open. I don't necessarily need to have this for right now. Yes, I understand that. It's fine. For the very moment, you'll be fine. I hope. Anyways, all jokes aside, let's start with the first benchmark test. But going past the situation, as you can kind of see where we have a lot of news and the standpoint of as far as the introductions of a lot of the hand manuals, as we can kind of scroll down as it boots inside the testing portions of it. But I was able to pertain a 3970X. I have an Asus Extreme TRX 40 board headed my way, a 4-set of 38 RAM that I'm going to overclock to 3860, which is the final sweet spot that you can get with freaking like the Ryzen fabric when you're 1-to-1. It's like, it's literally just the fringing point where you're just kind of like punching through the barrier of the 1-to-2, but you're just like kind of like that KO can. You're like, nope, I'm KO cannon. So like, I'm hoping it works out. We'll find out. I don't know. I paid a pretty penny for it, but it is cutting edge RAM versus the RAM of yesterday that I was going like, wait a minute. I paid so much for this, and now it's like so dirt cheap, which reminds me, people, techies, techettes, check out the affiliate links down below, and you can pop into the portals of Amazon's like Black Friday deals. There's an insane amount of SSD, as well as RAM. There's just so much going on right now. You want to pick up a mouse and buy stuff right now. I'm not saying you should follow that capitalist dream is doing that, but if you want to buy on a budget, it is kind of friendly right now. I'm just saying. I made a really huge investment as we have a 32 core as my horse now for the streaming index of YouTube. So that's going to be insane because I've already been pushing 4K 60 frames a second, which is unheard of, by the way. In fact, some creators have deemed it not even possible. But we are going to be getting into a segment of that later on into like maybe the Q1 of next year for the MacGyver 7 channel and the tech industry introductions of trying to push the channel of having a 32 core and me playing around with it. Plus I have the holidays with my family too, so I have to balance that. So I'm not going to be really able to commit to that. Hopefully into a Q1, hopefully very early Q1, I'll be able to kind of introduce that. We're kind of pushing out these 3 core lineups of looking at the Ryzen family, because already right now with the 2950X, which this is running on right now with my 2080 Ti that we're running the benchmarks on the 44141 introduction from Nvidia's game ready drivers is that I'm already pushing 4K 60 frames. I just cannot stream and do what I'm doing right now at the same time. It tanks it. It's just an independent thing. And yes, it is overkill. I'm not gonna lie, but that's my industry, and it's a machine that I can definitely contest will be good for what I'm doing and speeds up my process and makes me happy. So that's good enough for me and my credit card that keeps saying yes. But yeah, so share, like, and subscribe, because every view helps me for free, or I can go through the affiliate links. Anyways, no shameless plugs here for the MacGyver 7th. I'm like, not like LTT going like, oh yeah. He is really good at it, I'll give Linus that much, but looking at the shameless plugs and getting at the very first benchmark as we come around the portion of the very end of the time spy testing of what I'm getting at, is that we'll have a 32 core running at the most extreme. I'm trying to have that overclock like a mofo. And the people that definitely look at my channel as a rarity as the unicorn that actually is doing 4K 60 frames on just a little bit, and this is why. Yeah, the overclock that I run, it's just a little hot. But she like that hot blonde that you're like, hey, what up, girl? What you up with you? Let me buy you a drink real fast. That's the girl that I hang out with my CPU. So yeah, when you do that, you can run 4K because it's just that beautiful, just like a beautiful girl. But getting past my point of what I'm getting at, techies and techettes, is that since I've already been able to do that on last gen 16 cores, I bought also from last gen because it was on sale. B&H had it for the 24 core, which was the workhorse and the running point of what was yesterday's portion of okay, cool. Sorry. I got distracted by benchmarks. We'll get back to it. Cliff note. Of yesterday's, we'll go with the Noctis, because I bought one of those coolers too. Cliff note, Noctis. Anyways, comparing scores. Scotty, beam us up. But I'm going to be introducing also, too, as we get into the benchmarks, as we see right here, I'm being doing a little bit more long haul. Hopefully, I can kind of introduce a little bit more of flavorful highlights, because I do know a lot of people do reach out to kind of say, like, hey, you know, it'd be kind of nice if you had this, and maybe I can make this as my live introduction and kind of stuff, and then make more of a hard workhorse edit later on for the hardcore people that just want like finite graphs and stuff like that, because entering the finite graphs I have to run the tests, enter those in, and I'm just learning how to do those for the most part, so you'll have to bear with me. A great person kind of dropped a comment and I was like, you know what, I can dig you appreciate me and you're trying to push me as a creator, so hell yes, I'll take that Goku challenge and see how far my body can take this. But let's go ahead and go down to the portion, because right now we're running as far as the time spy, and we have the first test coming in at 12:34 as the almost median, give or take. But I can tell you it's within pennies right now, because I do remember that test directly inside of here. And here we are. As you can see, I ran 2 back-to-back as the bench warmer right here is coming down to number 8. You can kind of see it definitely came up a little bit more, but that was only because it was the first run. It was cold. So, of course, it ran a little bit better. That's the night I finally had only introduction. I'll do, like, one little buffer test just to make sure that it runs hot and, like, kind of like warming up a car, you know? Anyone can gun it and it'll be cool, but eventually you'll have diverse effects. So, as you can see, that 58 is the median. You can see we dropped a little bit. But this is just the first test. Shall we go ahead and venture into the next benchmark? And we can go into the next portion of what I'm getting into for the cooler portions of what we'll be seeing as far as benchmarks hitting the testing marks as we go into the extreme portion inside of the situation. And we come into the Port Royale being in the middle, and then we'll go into the fire strikes and run them through to kind of see what they do. And that's what I do with the Nvidia to kind of make it a little bit different with the AMD. AMD, I have issues sometimes with their earlier drivers with the adrenaline, so I kind of switched to doing just exclusive recording, which worked really well because I could utilize the recording portion of OBS and inside of my Theadripper of utilizing the X264. And it excels really well, and I know as furthering point that I'm getting at is the benchmarks that I saw from the encoding portion is that the 24 core inside of my board that I have, because I have to make use of the boards that I have. That was one of the things in the conundrums I had. I was going to buy, you know, an i99 K6 and make my 2080 Ti sing like a canary. But then I thought, I was like, wait, you know, I have a 399A Prime board that's just chilling there, and because they totally switched the game on us, which is not a bad thing. Don't get me wrong. As long as they can kind of keep the TRX 40 boards running decently, I'll be happy. Just keep us there for a second. I think they made that commitment for us, just like they did with the AM board. They're like, hey, we'll kind of do this for you. I don't know what the commitment is so more. If I can get to see ES, I should know a little bit more details. But looking at what I'm getting at is that we're getting into a portion of the me pushing the network a little bit farther for everyone, as my Facebook community will now be the purring, I guess, portion of my 24 cores. It comes into gameplay for me as a drop-in core. I will be booting up a new channel for most people that are into aquariums. This guy is too. And I have always toyed around with the idea of running a 24/7 channel, but I just never really had the, I guess, free computer tech and things to slap together to kind of build this, and also have to rekindle a hobby that's just chilling there that I really need to do, and it's my way of kicking myself in the butt to just be committed to it. So I'm going to be trying to do that. Hopefully it'll be successful. It'll be a great little point of just like kind of having my hobby kind of pay for itself, hopefully, in that situation. But if you're into those kind of aquariums outside of tech, look forward to that. I'll introduce the channel name. It's going to go along the line of 24/7 Coalescence instead of Coalescence. But as we look past that of like me coining my own portion of the new channel of the board set that I was getting at, as I had nerded out on that, as like now the 399A will be known as Bermuda Prime, and Bermuda Prime will be my fish tank, which will have my 2950X with my 16 core that I already know how to utilize that board really well. It'll be rocking like its old set of RAM, which is the 3200 frequency, which is a great G.SKILL thing, not the Neo one, which I got coming, which now I have a 16 C latency for as far as a set of 3600 RAM. Like I got that insanely cheap, like on like today's Black Friday deals. That's going to be going and powering the workhorse of the 24 core now inside of this thread ripping portion. So I'm very interested to see what this test is going to look like in the near future. Oh my dear glob. Whew, it's going to be a monster. But looking at that portion of it, we're also having the 32 core racing right behind it with 38 to hopefully 36. I'm going to have to toy with it. I was watching Gaming Nexus and he inspired me to like aim towards like maybe using some programs to kind of dial in what I have and see what a computer program can dish out. It's like, hey, by the way, this is probably what it is, and then toy within those boundaries. It's always nice to have a guideline, but know what works. I find out weird fixes somehow. I'm just MacGyver. It's alright. Just Mac. I do stuff with duct tape and pixels. It works. But yeah, like getting down to that point. So now I have Bermuda Prime, which will be doing my new channel for as far as that situation. Not going any more into that. We have now Optimus Prime, which is the current right now, which will be getting a makeover with a new core, new RAM as a refresh on top of there. So we'll be seeing what I can push the Zenith board to the final extreme, because this was supposed to be the second gen like WTRX workhorse to extreme type situation of introduction, because they gave us such like a great refresh and a great point of like introducing all these portions of where the line came into it. They weren't ready for like the 32 and 24 that they were introducing, and now like AMD's doing 64, so Windows is probably tripping. So I'm debating if I want to make this my first Linux build too, and like have the refresh be built on Linux, so I can kind of toy with the system, because like Wendell from Level Up Tech, I believe his channel is. Hopefully I'm not butchering him. I always end up watching his stuff, and I always love what he ends up bringing to the table for that. So it's like he kind of brought to the whole point of like the showcase of the software bug that was happening with Windows, and he was very forthright about it, super honest, and I just really love the knowledge that dude has. I would love to pick his brain for knowledge one of these days if I ever run into him. Be like, hey bro, what do you think of this? This is really cool, right? But as we look into one more test, because I want to jump directly into the Port Royale while it's warm. I was like running Port Royale warm. I don't know why. It seems to be a little bit better when I'm not running like a really chill test next to it. The consistency, for some weird reason, is really insane. Anyways, getting down to the portion of me purring my Corvette, hopefully of a 2082i, is so, you know, like Windows Channel was talking about like how the 24 core is a really sweet situation, but Windows may not really be able to handle the threads in the way that Linux will have. So it's like, if it's the same thing where it's like, I'm not really getting the benefit. I mean, hell, I might even reach out to him, even comment creator, be like, hey bro, do you have a second? I have this inquiry. But I don't know. We'll think about that in the future as I come into it, because I think I can kind of figure it out for the most part. So if I ever did, maybe. He seemed like the guru that I would have to seek the answer for Threadrippers. But as getting into that point and me understanding where the game changers are coming into, I think that like that's going to be a really fun one to like kind of toy with in the immediate now, because I'm not going to have access to the 32 core beast until after the 6th, and then I'll have to build it, set a time for that. That's its whole project in that general standpoint. Same thing with Bermuda Prime. Like, that's its own project in the far future for me to kind of get into maybe Q1, into like the breaking point of like what I need to do. Because I have a lot of projects that I set into, but like the major projects that I need to bring is Apollo, which is the new generation of Ryzen tech going into it, the 7 nanometer. So it's basically a refresh of what's going on for the 12 nanometer, but in 7 nanometer type stuff. It's not really getting into the stack technology that 5 is going to get into. But then we're going to get a refresh of this 7 nanometer plus for the ending cap out of Ryzen 4000. It's really confusing right now in like the Ryzen market, but it's also kind of confusing, exciting, as we kind of get into technology pushing each other, which gets into Nvidia news. Nvidia now is giving us excuse me, great portions of where we're going into the driving market, looking at a few things for the 2080 Ti Super, which it was a joke at first, which I knew it wasn't. I was just like, no, they've already kind of put that on the shelf, and they know what they're doing. They're going to wait to the very end and then kind of roll it out as, haha, buy this, and then roll down the 2080 Ti is really cheap and make the Supers like a standard for like yesterday's. Basically, they're going to phase out the 10 series, and the 20 series is here to stay raw, because it's the RTX series to stay. Because ray tracing is going to stay. I think it's, like, for me, I like it. I think it was misunderstood in the very beginning. Most people didn't know what it was. They didn't know what was going on. But, like, as more time grew and more people covered it, as you got to see, like, people like UFD Tech and his channel covering a lot of stuff for that kind of category, as well as other creators too. Like, I think Linus has covered that. There's just a lot of great people that have kind of like tapped into what the future could possibly be if they utilize this technology right. And now it's just up to the developers as technology rolls into it. And it seems like the developers for software writing, as AMD can prove that you can really make ray tracing open for everyone, as NOR, which I ran last time on my end. I think of the 1911.3 patch that I had for. So, okay, so here's our scores. Times our Extreme, which is our Extreme 4K of the DirectX 12, and our Port Royale. So let's size them up, which should be directly down below. We have a 790.56 and a 62.54. Oh, and by a 1, it's beaten. And that could be nominal. That's like, folks, that's really not in much in that kind of situation. So, besides the situation of it coming into the Times by Extreme, which you can kind of see that there's this noticeable drop. So we're trending down below, but maybe these might be stabilities. But I have been noticing a lot of trending downs, which isn't always a good thing, because it's like, what if, like, the whole point of the Nvidia Super Saiyan power up that they kind of did, I think it was 431.36, where it introduced a whole game changing of like where we kind of went, where we're like, holy crap, this is so cool. Like, it's been slowly kind of tapering down, but kind of pushes forward sometimes, but it's kind of steady. But what if that's the point? Like, you kind of look at it like in the long term, where it's like they went up like this, but then they're kind of going like this to a point where they're challenged again, and they can go to this big thing. So benchmarkers like me see this point of going like, bam. So, you have to excuse me, I don't know, it's a little congested for some weird reason. I must have breathed in dust or something. Oh, run, Fire Strike, run! So looking at that portion of like the idea of like where that can be expanded into, like maybe now expanding into different logs of kind of like running, like I believe it's Frap is the program I have to run in the background with a hotkey, so I can just capture stuff during like times like this where I'm just like go take the stress. But that's an added bloat, which will compare, I guess, score to score. I can kind of do that and understand like the percentage of where that software itself will take down to, I guess, nominal, hopefully. But as we start our fire strikes in our DirectX 11, the news that we'll be rolling out, besides the 3 computers that I'm going to be repurposed, and I'm going to be, I suppose, not necessarily retiring my Mark 1, which is like my i7-67K setup, which I don't know what I'm going to use for it yet. I might use that for maybe like a 1080p, like Nintendo stream friendly, or maybe a party stream like machine, like just something very basic, because I did order great new cameras which were really great through Amazon on their deals, which is pretty cool. I was very stoked about that. But yeah, like this driver so far seems like it's more fixes than anything else for as far as what the game news goes into. They fixed out, some Red Dead situations and some Tomb Raider fixes, but as some known that have made the list as well. So it's like, I think that, I don't know, this kind of feels like a stalemate, like patch. I can't say that this feels any better or any worse, but they kind of moved their pawn right there. And now we're all going like, wait, what the hell's our next move then? Alright, we're supposed to play. But one thing I do understand and I do love about Nvidia versus AMD is their software putting like the FPS on the very top left hand corner, you can see above me, is very, very reliable versus like what I normally don't. Now I know I don't have like my my cam set up right now as we kind of run the like test over the temp and the sound that I kind of usually normally utilize as like my oversight, but I kind of feel like today's testing like was kind of set up because I wanted to follow up this and like No Man's Sky. I've had some time just to kind of commit to the communities. Been falling behind on some tests, so don't want to lose sight. Fun news for as far as Amperes and it's being pushing forward in the first quarter of next year. We're going to be seeing a lot more competing news head towards us inside of that first portion of our Nvidia killers, and Navi finally catch up in the 20 through 23 series. That's going to be pretty fun. Like, personally myself, I'm more excited to see where Navi's PCIe 4 pushing, like, portion, because that's where I basically set up Apollo for, is where I can kind of test PCIe 4 to its maximum, because not only did I get a PCIe 4 filibuster at my point in time, like, because there's nothing really you can do with it except for Navi and like SSDs. I did get a pretty sweet SSD thanks to DeBauer. I was watching his review on like the Aorus, I believe is the way you pronounce it. It's AORUS, Aorus maybe. But that was like a SSD that I snagged for a really great deal on like their portion. 1 terabyte was insanely expensive, but maybe I can kind of see some night and day differences because I utilize just a normal like kind of like SATA SSD, which from what I hear nowadays just kind of suffices what I need to be doing with my moving around. I need that kind of stuff, that kind of power. So hopefully I can install my OS. That was pretty good. That was actually pretty damn good. Let's go ahead and look at our results. Fire strike to fire strike. What do we got with our might? So fire strike just goes down literally by just 1. Nothing really else can kind of go down to that situation to where we have our 4, 6, 5, 3, which obviously we were in the 20s. But looking at the situation down here where there's 4, 5, 8, 4. So it was kind of ranking a little bit lower on this portion. You can kind of see, but bam, dude. It just freaking fights back on our DirectX 11. It just says, hi, this is my DirectX 11, and I'm going to show you the maximum of what these softwares can do. So, yeah, there we go. That was a really good test. That was an insanely good test, actually, back to back. Let's see if we can run that consistency as we go up the fire strike ladder and go up to those benchmarks. I do like the Nvidia portion of it because I do get to spend some more time with the community portion of kind of staying tuned to what we are in the technology. I definitely do want to recommend for most people that are going to be starting out on like boards like max selection and that kind of situation. I kind of stick with Asus myself. They've been reliable for overclocking. If you're going for simple stuff, Gigabyte's a really great reliable board for as far as what's on the market. And there's a great deals. Like I saw like a Sapphire on like Newegg for like dirt cheap. I think it was like 429. It was their 57X series, which was pretty cool. So there's a lot of great deals you can kind of snag right now in the gaming community and a lot of builds. So if a lot of comments are coming in and if I haven't gotten back to you, or people have been leaving comments in this video too, if I haven't gotten back to you, I will. You just gotta give me time. It's the holidays to digest. I really want to help everyone, and I know that tech challenges do hit a lot of people. Like, for instance, great story flashing back to almost about 6 months ago when I was changing to my Zenith Extreme board and for my 399A Prime board, and I switched and swapped the hard drives over, and that was just the Achilles heel to it because it was just like, oh, wait a minute, you can't swap OSs, you created some kind of weird ass bug. And I was like, wait a minute, what? Had to reformat the drive and put it in the right like format from what normal formats were. I didn't even know there was an underlay of formats, and I was like, holy crap, I learned something completely new. But I got it to work, which was great for the learning experience and pushing forward and my understanding of technology. So I do know that there are prevalent issues that we all run into as we piece together tech in the very first time or experience time too sometimes. So I'll try to get you back if I can for the most part, but moving past really cool technology besides that situation is now we have the hopper. I don't know if most people have been looking at what's past the turning, what they've been experiencing in Nvidia is that was an old school guy that had an original like graphics engine. I forgot the whole story. I really do need to look into that and kind of see his complete background. But from what he was kind of revolutionized kind of a future standpoint of what the graphics would be kind of do. But the whole idea would be like the hop. So it's like almost like a cylinder complex for like cars where you're just utilizing three of the same things. So it's like we've gotten down to the point where maybe AMD's kind of pushed the market to kind of look at maybe we don't need to just put one of everything and make it really the most powerful. We can take all these powerful things and then put them together. And I feel like that's what the market always really does is the first engines roll out and then you have like these other things because things become more efficient. Doesn't mean if everything you put all together. If you size up an 18-core Zenith, which still hasn't dropped its price, and their launch of the 10th generation Intel was kind of garbage. You size these things up and you kind of look into like where the future is going into like Intel having to like fire back and give us a great product or sink. And they did kind of sink. Like Linus's channel found it, but Paul also fired back with like, you know, his review as well. So it's like I feel like that it's a very well shared like introduction to like maybe the industry realizing like where Nvidia is going. Like, man, now we got to piece together all this other stuff to kind of push to the next level. And I think that's what gaming developers and like actual physical software and technology developers should always be thinking. Like, it shouldn't be this whole thing of, like, profit. We can make this really cool thing and then divide it into a million things. And then it's just like, where's the fun in that? Where's the revolution in that? Where's the innovation in that? You know, humanity doesn't move forward unless someone puts their foot down and says, we're moving. And as we move forward, the DirectX 11 kicks ass as we look at 1 to 7 and we see another 100, not, but like, a little bit of movement in the positive direction, about 30 points. So it's not as big as drastic as like a 1080p we're looking at a direct. So let's go into our last and final score as we'll end the actual physical patch and the benchmarks as we kind of go to score. Hopefully everyone's holidays have been really well. Keep safe, keep hungry, and keep fed. Those kind of fun points in the great. I'm very curious what technology people are upgrading to, so like I'll take this time to say if like people have like comments of like what they're rocking and what's gonna be out there for the market. Drop a comment down below. I'm very curious like what everyone has under the hood or what everyone's involving, because like I'm really in this surreal state that I'm gonna be upping my complete like setup. I'll even be putting like thumb drives inside of like my portion of like being able to transfer the video quality, because I got like an insanely good Lumix camera. It was like almost $1,600 for $400 on Amazon. Like, today was a great day. I didn't sleep that much, but damn, today was a great day. Or yesterday, really. I just haven't slept in that process. All right, so one of the beauties that I do like about running these benchmarks is that we get to see the software itself evolve, because I kind of feel like in the very beginning, a lot of the pushing points, I would see the frame tears. I never really see it too much in Nvidia, but I would see it a lot in AMD. And AMD and I feel like 3D Mark aren't as in touch with each other. They're out of sync. Versus Nvidia, when they drop something, 3D Mark is like almost patching alongside them. So I don't know if they're like working with their developers or have some kind of like inner team that like works with each other, but they seem to be a little bit more well drawn out when it comes down to actually rolling out a physical patch. So I don't hear a lot of bad things about the Nvidia patches, nor do I hear with AMD, but like, for instance, the newer like news of like Fortnite, if you have an AMD card, it's been crashing a lot of people's computer, unfortunately, because of the new 1911.3 not working well with Epic Games rollout of Fortnite and their introduction of the 11.20, I think, was their newer patch that just said download this, but their patch wasn't good with that patch. It was bad. Yeah. I mean, in gaming news, there's a lot of like situation and what's going down. I'm gonna be very curious to see what happens with like physical 24 core. I would assume that I can get the FPS up to like maybe, oh, I don't know, 120, maybe a little more, maybe a little more. I'm gonna have 8 more cores, and it'll have the breathing point. I mean, cool thing is too though, I got a really great like power swap out. So like my normal Intel right now, like since I run a lot of graphics that like need the demanding point of like power expunging points, I go with 1,000 watt just in case. But like since I'm gonna be just running like, it's gonna be like kind of my basic streamer, nothing really super crazy I'm pushing onto it. Like I'm not gonna be like streaming an insane 4K amount of stuff on to like just my old school Intel Mark 1. I'm going to be running with like, you know, just like old school stuff. So 800 watts is perfectly fine, and I get a great deal to swap that out. So now I have my 1,000, so I can go to the Bermuda Tribe and power it. See, I did a great amount of like swapping tech around. It's going to be great. But let's look at our benchmarks, compare our choice, because this looks pretty great for Ultra. What is our final gavel of this physical update? Oh, wow. Okay, so yeah. Going back into it, it seems like this patch is very stable for the most part. I didn't notice any hiccups from the situation. If you are having issues, drop a comment down below what processor and GPU you're running. And then in that tandem point moving forward, you can see that it seems like with Port Royale, we kind of lost a little bit, so maybe your ray tracing kind of went down a little bit, tiny bit. They pushed a little hard, and then DirectX 12 went down a little bit too as well. But your DirectX 11 categories went up a lot. So if you are new to the network, you can always hit a like, a share, and subscribe. It's absolutely free, helps me as a creator. I know this one's a little bit longer, and I do appreciate everyone's time in this situation for sticking around. And I will see you guys and gals in the near future. And if you subscribe today, you'll get to see all this new tech be put together. And who knows, maybe, just maybe, the shepherd will come back to life. You should subscribe. That'd be great. Anyways, all subscription humor aside, thank you so much for spending some time with the channel. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the future.